All right, so this article came out this morning, and or I guess it was last night. Gizmodo and a couple other places have picked up the story, and apparently the CDC of all agencies says that it's halting evictions. And this is it's a crazy headline, because what does the CDC have to do with real estate? So if you read through uh, the article here, and I'll link to the source here in the notes. If you read through it, basically they're citing this particular authority, which is here, Section 361 of the Public Health Service Act, under which the CDC is authorized to act to prevent entry of disease into the U.S. and between states. So obviously, they are stretching that quite a lot, and that there's a long history of using the language of interstate commerce and interstate travel and those kinds of things to apply to being inside a state. So there is, unfortunately, historical reasoning to this, and it was nonsense then, it's nonsense now, but they're going to do what they're going to do. So as far as I'm concerned, completely illegal, but it doesn't mean they're not going to do it. So basically what they're saying is that the plan suspends evictions for single people making $99,000 or less, or couples who file joint taxes that are $198,000 or less through the end of the year. And those seeking to invoke these protections also have to prove somehow, somewhere, that they're unable to pay, and that an eviction would likely render the individual homeless. That's actually a very tough standard to meet, even if all this goes through. So basically, you'd have to say, I can't pay, and I can't pay anywhere else, therefore I'm going to be homeless, which is, like I said, very, very high hurdle to reach. So, it's again, assuming this holds up, which wouldn't, or shouldn't, but even if it does, then it's unclear how much of an impact this will be. Now, the other part is that it doesn't actually eliminate your ability or your requirement to pay for a rental contract. So if people end up using this I don't know, standard or rule or whatever, diktat, then they're still going to owe the rent, they're still going to owe interest, they're still going to owe late fees, and that's just going to build up over time, and eventually even if they can't evict, a landlord would still be able to sue and take bank accounts and cars and whatever else. So it's going to be just a giant mess, So so like here it says, assuming the CDC's power to enact this order isn't deemed an overreach, and an individual is able to meet the criteria to avoid an eviction, this arrangement seems poised to bury them under a lifetime of debt. Seems somewhat less exciting now, isn't it? And yeah, that's true. But people get judgments and people get evicted all the time, and then the judgments are basically uncollectible in a lot of cases. So it's just craziness. If this ends up becoming a thing, though, then it just puts a great deal of friction and will basically price out the lower end of rental markets. So, goodbye affordable housing, essentially. It's similar to how rent controls work, where the people who got it, they stick with it forever, but then it's not available to anybody else because, it's so antithetical to contracts between two, consenting parties. So, socialism is here, basically, and Trump is the one who's bringing it. Regardless of what you think of the Republicans or Trump in particular, this is nothing but just centrally planned markets.